isolation, loneliness, despair, anxiety, all that's there in our consciousness. Belief. I believe in God. I believe in this. So faith and belief brings about atrophy to the brain.
But do you reject belief itself?
Oh yes.
Do you?
Completely. Because if you look,
you don't leave much standing, do you, Krishnaji?
Huh?
You don't leave much standing, do you,
Of course
Krishnaji?
not. That's what I said. One has to be free of all the illusions that thought has created to see something really sacred, which comes about through right meditation.
And how right meditation?
Yeah.
And what is right meditation? You suggest that there is also a wrong meditation.
Oh, all the meditations that are being put forward now by the gurus and all the rest of it is nonsense.
Why?
Because first you must put the house in order.
But isn't this the way to put the house in order?
You see, that's wrong. They think by meditating you put the house in order.
Yes. No?
No.
Not so?
No. On the contrary, you must put the house in order, which is house, you understand?
Yes.
House in order. Then otherwise if you don't, it becomes an escape.
But we need, surely, to escape from the ego, from the self, from these desires, these demands in ourselves. Surely the silence of meditation is a valuable path to that, isn't it?
You see, please, the question of meditation is very complex. Unless one puts the house in order, which is no fear, the understanding of pleasure, the ending of sorrow, from that arises love, compassion, intelligence. And the process to that, we'll call it process for the moment, is part of meditation. And then to find out whether thought can ever stop, which is time has to have a stop. And then out of that comes the great silence. It's in that silence alone that one can find that which is sacred.
Well, but to stop thought is, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure this is true of most people, the most difficult thing in life is to switch off the mind.
And no, this is again rather complex. Who is it that switches off the mind?
I suppose what I have to say is it's the mind itself, switching itself off, which I suppose is impossible.
Now, when one realizes the observer is the observed, the controller is the controlled, the experiencer is the experienced, when one actually realizes it, not intellectually, verbally, but profoundly, then that very perception stops it. It's like seeing danger. If you see danger, you move away from it.
Yes.
So if you see the danger, if you see the danger of conflict, for example, the danger, the psychological danger of a human being who is perpetually in conflict, he may meditate, he may do all kinds of things, conflict will go on. But when he sees the danger of it, like a poison, then you stop it. There's an end of it.
But see, from what you say, it seems to me that there is no path to this.
Oh, no.
Well, how do we get there? I mean, to get somewhere where there is no path seems to me a very difficult idea indeed.
Look, these paths have been laid down by thought. Right? There is the whole Hindu idea of paths of, the Buddhist, the Christian. The truth is not a fixed point. So you can't have a path to it.
But there must be a path, or there, I hope there's a path, to the ending of conflict of which we're speaking.
There is not a path. There is an ending of conflict, sorrow and all that, when one realizes, no, let's put it that way, when there is actual sensitive awareness of what one is, without any distortion, awareness of it, without any choice. Out of that, there's the ending of it, all this mess.
But then that sounds, when you say there only this awareness of what one is, the full awareness without choice, without illusion, it sounds though we all have to sit around waiting for instant revelation.
Then you can sit around for a million years,
Exactly.
as we have done.
Indeed we have.
I don't think it's, you see, then we have to go in to find out what is action. Is there an action which doesn't create conflict, in which there is no regret, which under all circumstances, whether it's when one lives in a poor society or an affluent society, it has action that must be always correct. To find that out, one has to go into the question of what is actual action is now. Is either idealistic action, future, or action based on past memories, which is knowledge, or is there an action independent of the future of time? That's the whole point today.
Well, we can't stop time in its tracks. It rolls on.
Time, as by the watch, by day, it goes on. But is there psychological time, inward time? Not, there isn't. We have created that cycle.
So it seems then that whatever the thing is, it is complete and instantaneous.
Yes.
It is not something you can build up layer by layer.
Absolutely. Illumination is not a gradual process.
Yes.
Then it is not an illusion. It is not enlightenment. Because you allow time, gradual becoming something.
You know, in this context, I would like to ask you this. You have a school here. What do you teach the children? What do you teach the children? If you can't build this up for them, for any of us, old or young, I presume, what do you teach?
The academic subjects.
Yes, but in these areas.
Of course.
How?
Also point out all this. How to live correctly. What it means.
Well, you see, philosophers throughout the ages have discussed that very point, how to live correctly. What is correct living, right living, as Socrates
That's
called
right
it?
living.
And can you teach that?
You can point out. You can say, don't be a slave to society, don't be this and that, but you have to show it, point out. It's up to them.
But can we live in the real world that we do live in which we have to catch trains and go to offices and buy bread in the
Yes, sir,
shop?
I've done all those.
How can we combine all the pressures of the mundane
I don't admit
around
pressure.
us?
I wouldn't do anything under pressure.
You wouldn't. I wish I did.
refuse. No, both intellectually and psychologically, I refuse to be under pressure. I don't mind starving. I don't mind having no job, but I refuse to be put in that position.
But you see, this is really what I meant when I said, what is the secret? Because you say you will never be put under pressure. And indeed, I can see and understand that. One only has to look at you or read you or listen to you to know that. But what about the rest of us? How do we get out from under this burden?
If we all say we won't be under pressure...
We all are under pressure all the time.
we won't be.
How can we refuse it?
One should-
how can we live in the real world? The job is waiting for us. We're going to be late. We've got an appointment.
Now, just me, that brings up whether society can be changed.
Well, cannot society be changed?
I mean, no, whether society can be changed.
Yes.
The communists tried it, the socialists are trying it, various systems are trying to change society.
Yes.
Now, what is society? It's an abstraction of our personal relationship. Now, if our personal relationship changes radically, society changes. But we are not willing to change. We admit wars, we accept all this terrible state of existence.
Yes, we do. We do. How do we stop it?
No, revolt against it.
But this,
Not revolt in the sense become a communist, all that kind of stuff. That's psychologically revolt against it.
but that presumably must be each individual. This is not something that can be done collectively.
No, well, again, what do you mean by individual?
Well, we're all independent in separate personalities.
Are we?
Well, aren't we?
I doubt it.
Go on.
We are not individuals. We are the result of million years of collective experiences, memories, all that. We think we are individuals. We think we are free. We are not. To us, freedom means choice. Choice means confusion. You don't choose if you're clear.
You said once, one of your most striking phrases, I remember, that your purpose was to set man free.
Yes. Sounds, yes.
Yes, that's the most important thing in the world, after all. But how do you go about that? How do we set ourselves free? Because presumably we have to set ourselves free, is what you meant. How to show us how we set ourselves. How do we set ourselves free?
To be aware of our conditioning.
But our condition may be terrible, miserable, wretched.
No. What is our conditioning?
Well, that varies from individual to individual, surely.
I doubt it.
No?
No. We are conditioned by fear,
Yes.
which is common to all
powerful.
mankind. We are conditioned by our pleasure, which is common to all mankind. We are conditioned by our anxieties, by our loneliness, by our desperate uncertainty. All these are the factors that condition the mind.
And can we simply put them aside?
No. Who is that? You put a wrong question there. That if one sees the consequences of all these conditionings, consequences, the pain, all the rest of it, naturally it stops. There is no entity which says, I must stop it. That is intelligence.
And then we are free?
Now, what do you mean by free?
Well, what I mean by it is to be rid of these fears, these anxieties, these impossible desires,
Yes.
vain yearnings.
That's right.
Now,
that is freedom.
it certainly seems so to me.
Unless there is that freedom, you cannot be like to yourself. Unless there is that freedom, meditation means meaningless.
You see, everybody thinks it's the other way around.
I know,
You reverse this, don't
But
you?
that is a fact.
You see, we think of the systems, the beliefs, the faith, the work as a means to getting to this state of freedom. You start with the state of freedom.
Belief brings atrophies of the brain. If you keep on repeating as they do, your brain is atrophied.
Then can we just do it by one great leap into freedom?
Yes. That is, to have insight into all this.
Instantaneously?
Yes.
And any of us can do it?
Anybody who is attentive, who is inquiring, exploring, trying to understand this terrible confusion of life.
At any age?
No. You're putting... No, of course not. A baby can't do it.
No.
A child can't do it.
But we don't have to spend a lifetime in practicing.
Forgotten, of course not. Then death is waiting for you.
It's waiting for all of us.
For all of us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muddy.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you very much.